Alright guys, here we are back in our robot arm class. So today what I want to talk about, I want to go back to our topic of buttons. In the past we used buttons in our circuit, but we haven't added buttons to our noggin so that we can program the buttons. So that's the new element that we're going to do. So I've gone ahead and cleared off our breadboard here, so I'm going to start fresh because once we add buttons it could start getting confusing, so I don't want to have all this stuff on the breadboard just yet. So I went ahead and clear it off, so go ahead and clear off yours. And let's draw our schematic now of what our how our button's going to get wired. Okay. So our first step is, as always, let's go ahead and draw our noggin. Okay. And what we're going to do here is we're going to have our button. Remember, it's got 4 legs. And I'll go ahead and draw these 2 lines. Remember, this line connects the top 2 legs. This line connects the bottom 2 legs. Okay? And we're going to connect the bottom legs to black triangle, which you learned last time. When we do something like this, what we're really saying is connecting it to GND. Because this connects to black triangle, and we can see here the same black triangle connects to GND. Alright, and then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a resistor, and we're going to use a 10 kilo ohm resistor. We're going to connect it here and then to the top leg, and then the other side of the resistor is going to go into pin, it's going to be 5V. Alright, and then this side of the resistor, one side's connected to the leg here, the other side will be connected to pin number 2. Okay, so let me explain this a little bit, kind of like what's going on here, right? So I want to look at 2 situations. One situation is when we press the button. I want to talk about what happens there. And when I don't press, I want to talk about what happens there. So there's 2 situations here whenever we're dealing with the button, right? One is when we press it, we got to know what happens. And then the other is when we don't press it, we got to know what happens. Now, what we want to know is the voltage at pin number 2. This guy right here. So later on, we're going to read what the voltage is at pin 2. So that's going to be happening on the code side. So I'll just go ahead and give you a sneak peek. We're going to be doing something called, the command will be digital read. So we're going to be, and I'll just write the whole command like this, okay? So in our Arduino, what we're going to be saying is read what the voltage is at pin 2. That's what this piece of code does right here. So what I'm curious is, what I want to talk about is, okay, when I press the button, what is digital read 2 at? When I don't press the button, what is digital read 2 at? So let's talk about this. So when I press the button, I'm going to use blue color right here. So I'll use blue. Okay, so when I press the button, that means that the top leg is connected with the bottom leg. And so that means this right here is connected to GND. And if I look at here, this is all connected all the way to GND. So just to recap, if I'm pin 2 and I press the button, if I look at it, I have a path all the way to GND. So that means digital read 2 is going to be GND. Okay? Now let's use green. If I don't press it, what happens? Well, again, I'm doing green right here. Pin 2 is here. If I don't press, what's going to happen is I go here. Now, can I go from here to here if I don't press the button? The answer is no. I cannot cross over from the top row to the bottom row if I don't press the button. So this is an X now. So it can't get to G and D. So the only way is for it to go up this way and to go there. Now what is this? It's 5V. So now I know that if I press, digital read 2 becomes GND. If I don't press, digital read 2 becomes 5V. Now let me add a little bit more here. GND is the same as, actually let me do this. GND means ground level. So that's actually the same as 0V. So now they're kind of matching. Okay? So if I press it, I get 0V. If I don't press, I get 5V. Okay, now I'm going to take one more step. What does 0V and 5V mean when I'm talking to the Arduino? 0V is the same as low. 5V, which is higher up, higher than 0V, you probably guessed it, it's the same as high. Okay, so now we get, if I press pin 2 or digital read 2 is going to be low. If I don't press, digital read 2 is going to be high. All right, so I want to step through why, when we connect it this way, why is it that digital read 2 is low when we press, and why it's high when we don't press. Now the last piece I want to talk about is, what about this guy right here? This 10K resistor. Why do we need that resistor? Well, so here's what's going to happen. You know what? Let me draw what happens here if we don't have that resistor. Okay? I'm going to draw the same thing, except what I'm going to do now, let me just draw this, is I'm not going to have that resistor. So I have 2 here, and that goes to my button. And then this goes 5V like this. Okay, this is all connected. Okay, so this is this circuit down here. Number 2 is the same as number 1. The only issue is that right here, no resistor. So the biggest issue is here, guys. Okay, oh, I forgot. I also have this here. The big issue is when I press. I'm going to have a major issue in my circuit. I want to give you a second to kind of look at it before I tell you what's going on. Okay. So if I don't press, I'll start with that one. If I don't press, what happens? If I don't press, then pin 2 is like this. Can it get from here to here? No, it can't. X, so then it's just connected to 5V. So just pin 2 is connected to 5V. That's actually going to be okay. There's no problem. So it's going to say 5V, which is equal to high. And everything's all good. So actually this is the same. For this connection, we still get high. For this connection, we still get high. Now, well, the problem is when we press. When we press using blue, what happens? If I press, then what happens is that pin 2 can go like this, and then now it can jump down and go to G and D. Okay? So that's fine. So pin 2 will become 0V, which is the same as low. So you're saying, well, it's exactly the same, Coach Ed, right? So if I press, it's low. If I don't press, it's high. What's the problem? Well, here's the other thing. Pin 2 is fine. Pin 2 is low, but now look, this pin 2 is connected to right here, which is also connected to 5V. So if I put it all together, what do we have? I have 5V is connected to pin 2, which is also connected to G and D. So what does that mean? I'll write it right here. 5V, I'll draw an arrow. If I press it, 5V is shorted. Shorted to G and D, which is the same as 0 volts. That is bad, because what you get is that you get 5 volts. You get 5 volts with 0 resistance. There's no resistance, and if we did some exercises with Ohm's law in the past. Just to recap, Ohm's law, V equals IR. If I modify this, I equals V over R. And so if I plug these numbers in, V is 5 volts. So, and R is 0, because there's no resistor here. What's 5 divided by 0? It means infinity, which is a lot. You're going to have a lot of current going through this, and what actually happens is that the noggin may burn up, we may damage it. So actually it's very important, guys, when we do this, we want to make sure that we use this 10K resistor. Alright, so now that we know that, I'm going to add one more thing. So remember, we need to make sure we have this resistor. I also want to add one LED. So let's go back up to number 1. Let's add a resistor, an LED, and I'll go to pin 7. The reason I want to have this extra LED, guys, is I want to write a simple program that says when I press the button, turn the LED on. If I don't press the button, turn the LED off. Okay? So that way we can actually test if our circuit's working properly. So let's go ahead and wire this up. All right, I'm going to do the button first. So I'm going to grab my button and let's put it, I like to put it across the valley here. Okay, and let's do the 5V connection first. So I'm going to, circuit number 1. Remember, number 2 is no good, so we're not doing that one. It's number 1. Let's do the 5V connection first. So I get my, let's see here, I got orange for now. Okay, let's go 5V. And let's go up here. Okay, and then I got 5V needs to go to a 10K resistor. Now, the 10K resistor is this one. It's got this, it's like brown, red, orange, gold. Okay, that's 10K. One side of it goes to the 5V, and then the other side goes to the top row of the button, which is this row up here. There. Okay. Not bad. And then we have the top row of the button also goes to pin 2. I'm going to use purple here. So the same one, the top row up here. We're going to go to pin number 2. Remember, for when we use the pin numbers, we've got to go on the S row. So we go to column number 2 here, and then S. Here we go. And then the bottom row of the LED goes to G and D. Sorry, the bottom row with a button. So that's here. Bottom row, and then G and D. There we go. Now I can press the button here. It's not really doing anything because it's not reacting to it. I need to put some code in, and also let's put my LED in. So I'm going to go ahead and use our, save some time here and use our LED with the resistor already in it. Okay? So I'm going to stick the red wire up here. Now the red wire is the plus of the LED, so that means the plus side with the resistor. So this top row, since it's the red wire, needs to go to pin number 7. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll use this one. Pin number 7 is going to be column 7S. Great. And then bottom, the second row right here, which is the black wire, that needs to go to G and D. And so I'll stick a black wire into there. And then I have G and D. I already know this bottom row is all G and D, so I could put it here, or it's also automatically connected to all of these, so I'll just put it down here. There we go. Let me put the LED here so that you can see. Let me stick it in here. Let me get this guy in here. There. All right. Okay, let's pull up some code here and see if we can't get this working. All right, so let's set up our pin modes here. Pin mode, let's set up the LED. I put it on 7. So 7 output. Then let's set up the button pin. Now, if we remember the button pin, where did we connect it? If we look back over here, pin number 2. So we got to set up pin mode. Pin mode 2 now. Now, it's not going to be an output, it's going to be the opposite, an input. The reason it's an input, because the button's actually like a sensor, because it allows your noggin to sense. And the sense that I'm talking about is touch. It can actually feel you now when you press it. So it's going into it. The other one, the light, is an output because it's actually sending a signal out to turn the light on. So this is our first time using a input. All right, let me get this going here. All right, now just to start off, because we have 2 different types of parts, components on now, and we got to make sure we want them to work together. So the best thing to do, guys, when we do something like this is first test the easy component out first. because if I'm trying to get them to both work and it doesn't work when I program it, I'm not sure which one is not working because maybe the light's broken or the button's broken, I'm not sure. So let's first make sure that the light is working and then go from there. So in my loop here, the code that's going to loop, I'm going to say digital write 7 high, which should turn on this light. So let's upload. And it's on. Looks like I have a yellow light there. Great. All right. So I know my light works. I'm going to just delete this for now. I'm going to bring it back in a little bit. Okay, so let's talk this through. So we want to make it so that when I press the button, the light turns on. So I'm going to write some comments here and then fill it in with actual code after. So I'm going to say, if I press the button, then turn the light on, right? Else turn the light off. So if I press the button, then turn the light on. Else means like in any other case. So basically if I don't press the button, else means if I don't press it, then turn the light off. All right, so let's see if now if I can't put some actual code in here. So rather than just this comment, let's put real code. If, and then how do I know if I press the button? Watch this. Digital read 2 equal low. Digital read 2. So this is right here. This is a function call. It's saying digital read of pin 2. Does it equal low? Now, why did I do that? Why does this here mean if I press the button? Well, let's go back and look at this. Remember we said if I press it, and we did all that work, it means that digital read 2 is low. All right? So that's why we went through this earlier. So let's go back. So if digital read 2 is equal low, then I want to put some code inside in between these two curly braces. So whatever goes here in between these two curly braces is what happens if digital read 2 is low. Well, it says turn the light on. So I'm going to say digital write 7 high. Okay? Now what else? Here it says else turn the light off. So what I'm going to do, I'll write it after this to make it less confusing. Let's do else, and then 2 more curly braces. See, this one just came up automatically. 2 more, yours might not come automatically depending on what text editor you're using, okay? So if it didn't come automatically, you got to just put it in. Now, whatever you put in between these 2 curly braces is what happens if you don't press the button. We're going to make it opposite. Seven low. All right. Let's try this out. I'm going to upload. All right. The light is not doing anything. Hopefully this works. I'm going to press the button and the light turns on. And if I let go of the button, it turns off. All right, so we got it working. We got our button working here. We have it. We're able to turn it off, and we're able to turn it on. So let's spice it up a little bit. Let's add a little bit something. So right now, if I press the button, it turns on right away. What if I wanted to make it delayed a little bit? Like it only turns on 1 second after I press the button. Well, I would go like this. Well, what part of the code what part of the code runs whenever I press the button? Well, it starts right here on line 14. So instead of turning it on right away, what if I put a delay 1000, which is the same as delay 1 second, and then turn it on? So then what's going to happen is, once I press the button, it's going to first delay 1 second and then turn on. Let's try. Okay. Press. You see that? There's a delay. I let go, turns off. Press, and I let go. All right, so that's just a really simple exercise. Now, as you guys get up to this point, I'm going to give you a couple challenges. Okay, let me delete that. And I'll put it up here in my comments. I'll do a block comment like this. So everything in between here will be a comment. So number 1 is flip the logic. So flip the logic means when I press the button, I want it to be LED off. No press the button, LED on. Okay, so that shouldn't be too bad. The hint is, it's something about the high-low. Okay. And I'll give you a 1A challenge. Do challenge 1 a second way. So there are multiple ways to get challenge 1. All right, so 1A is do it a second way. Do it a different way. There may be more than 2, but there's at least 2 ways to make this happen. Okay, number 2 is make the light blink when you press the button. And you know what? Let me match it, the format as number 1. So when I press, blink the LED. No press, LED off. And then last challenge, if you get that far, if I press, I want you to blink fast. No press, blink slowly. So for the last one, number 3, if I'm not pressing the button, it should just be blinking slowly. Kind of like when we were talking about the Morse code, it's going to be dashes, a slow blink. But then once I press the button, it should go blink, blink, blink really fast. And then when I let go again, it should blink slowly. All right? Okay, so that's it for now. I'll see you guys later. Have fun playing with the button and the light.